Now we have Lduteen, Jerrick, Hope Lang, and Keinasxíx, Shannon, Crossley, to talk about the Point House revitalization, Sitka Indian Village restoration, saving Sitka's clan houses.
All right, I think we're ready to start. I'm going to try and use this mic, but I have a handheld mic, so if you find that you're having trouble hearing us, please just raise your hand and let us know. We'll try and move through this rather quickly. I have asked my family to sit up here, and although this kind of represents my nuclear family, it's also my clan family. If any Keinasxíx are here, regardless of being Point House or not, you're welcome to sit with us as well. My name is Jerrick Hope Lang. My Tlingit name is Lduteen. I am Keinasxíx of the Point House. My grandfather was from Metlakatla in Tsimshian. My great-grandfather was Kagwantani Eagle's Nest House. I am sitting here with my mother Karen and my sister Kendra and my clan sister Rebecca, who have all been supportive of me through this process. I had tried to write this numerous times, and I don't feel like writing it down. It just feels very anecdotal. I just want to give you the information as it feels in my heart. I do apologize if I unintentionally offend anybody. That isn't my intent today. We're moving towards crossroads of healing, and that's where I'm planning on coming from today. I'm still nervous, but I'm trying to get over it. I think I'll be better in like 3 minutes, and the presentation will get better. So I'm presenting today, and I have done this presentation before, and I called it Reclaiming Sacred Spaces. But kind of the theme that's running through today has really been cures for historical trauma. And I've tried to find ways of healing in my current life, and I think clan houses are a good conduit for that. So we are calling today Saving Sitka's Clan Houses, Cures of Historical Trauma through Revitalization of Clan House Culture. And I didn't come up with the term historic trauma cure. That was from my friend Hune. And you'll find it interesting. I think a lot of the segues in today's presentations will kind of link around this. So we're going to start with, what is a clan house? And the clan house means a lot of things for many people, but I felt like this quote really hit it home for me, so I'm going to read it to you. And it says, "The clan house is at the center of Tlingit identity. A Tlingit is born into a clan house, and our body goes to the clan house for the final time when we leave this world. A clan house is a place for ceremony. It is where authority for decision-making derives. It is the foundation of Tlingit government. The clan house is utilized in child-rearing and the teaching of clan history and tradition. It holds the songs and crests of the clans. It is a house of respect for the opposite moiety. The clan house is a community gathering place and a shelter to those who are traveling or in need. In the words of a Point House clan member, it is integral to every part of traditional Tlingit life." And so when I started this journey of trying to figure out, well, what are clan houses to me, and what does the land mean to me, this has been really pivotal because I didn't feel like I really had a place in Tlingit community because I don't think I'll ever be a linguist. I don't know if in this lifetime I'll ever carve a totem pole. Song and dance is something I'm revisiting, as many of you may have heard recently. And to me, clan houses were pretty central in kind of reasserting clan sovereignty and identity, matrilineal heritage and identity. The project really started from the return, and I've heard the term land back here. We are going to address land back, even amongst our own people. And land back is a wonderful concept, but it comes with a lot of responsibility. Giving us the land back is one step in a process of revitalization. We worked really hard when we got this to, well, I would even go as far as to say I worked really hard on defining what that meant to me. And part of that was this year writing a nomination for the Sitka Indian Village as a whole, as opposed to just the Point House. I said, what does the village mean to me? And what does preserving the fabric of that community mean to me? And I'm not a writer, so that was the biggest struggle. So I wrote a nomination with the National Trust for Historic Preservation, which is a national historic preservation group. And I had to put pen to paper and say, what does the village mean to me? and why is it worth saving? And I was appreciative of the process because it didn't come with any money. It just required me to write down my thoughts and say, what's important to me? And the built fabric of our community is worth saving. And having grown up in Sitka, looking around and recognizing all the colonial landmarks we have, I felt like it was really important to honor the non-colonial landmarks too, that tell the history of the people that live here and tell the history that is ongoing. And I think so much of our culture has been relegated to things of the past. And I was looking for a way to place us in present day. And so I thought historic preservation as a model would meet me where I was at. I thought they would be excited to hear about me. And I want to say that the National Trust is. We also received recognition from the Alaska Association for Historic Preservation's 10 Most Endangered Alaskan Places as well. And so focusing on that, I thought, well, historic preservation is going to be the method for this. And it's ironic because my grandma Ellen was the superintendent of Sitka National Historical Park. So in some way, working through federal systems of preservation, I thought I would never be doing. And yet here I am. So the crux of my nomination was really, why does historic preservation not honor the people whose land this is on? Because all historic preservation happens on Indian land, whether they are colonial landmarks or not. And my second question was, why do the extractive resources from historic preservation not benefit the people whose country this is? And so I think that's why we got the nomination. Yeah, so thank you. But having the land back that's step one. Step two is rebuilding. And historic preservation models are so built on brick and mortar. We're not talking about just building a structure. The process of rebuilding a clan house is revitalizing our culture and going back to our roots and reasserting our sovereignty. I'm going to move through these slides because, like I said, I threw my notes away. So this is kind of a picture of the Sitka Indian Village, represented in the single-story style clan houses that would have been representative of the early 1800s. Here's another picture from 1878. As you can see, kind of one-story, central door, no windows. This is kind of the architecture of the time, if you will. Here, another term for the Sitka Indian Village was called the ranch. You can see that the clan house has really changed. The vernacular architecture shifts. And this is kind of present day of the remaining clan houses, what you see here in Sitka. And I think it's just, for me personally, it was just a sign of the times. It was evolution, using milled lumber. We had new materials. I think we were innovative people, and we just built the way that we wanted to. Certainly, there was probably some impact from having a mill here on Sheldon Jackson's campus. And I'll probably let her speak to that more. I'm not a historic architect. There's just more pictures of the Sitka Indian Village. Here is a clan house map from 1914. This is, I believe, is a Sanborn fire map. And as you can see, there was about 44 clan houses represented in the Sitka Indian Village at the time. And I've come up with, I put this in here, that I think there's what were the 3 R's, arithmetic, reading, and I have 4 R's for the Sitka Indian Village, and that's restoration, revitalization, reconstruction, and eventually reparations. This is a picture of the Point House prior to demolition. This is probably from the late 70s, early 80s. One interesting feature about the home is that you'll notice there isn't a central door. To anybody who goes to the Sitka Indian Village, usually there's a central door, and I wish I knew the history of why that wasn't there, but our house was demolished in 1997. This is a picture of the demolition. If you look to the left is a clan house that's out of clan ownership, which I understand is a cheat hit for the Kagwantan. This is an overview of the property from an aerial view, just to give you some reference to the land size. I've liked this quote, so I inserted it in here. But don't teach me about my culture, use my culture to teach me. Now, as we navigate rebuilding a 21st century clan house, we kind of have to take a step back because we can't walk away from Western legal framework. It's just built into society and where we are currently. So when I approach this project, I represent myself. But right away, we move into, there's the Keinasxíx clan, who I am a part of. These are the houses represented under the Keinasxíx, which were houses that were represented here that are no longer with us. I am a member of the Sitka tribe of Alaska, and I recognize tribal governments here. And I want to say this, that clans and tribal governments and corporations are not the same thing. Tlingit and Haida is also someone that I am represented under, which I believe are colonial constructs. So we're moving away from clans and now going into colonial constructs, which are tribal governments. Then we move into corporations. I'm not a corporation, but I am represented by them. And then we start to look at the connection to those tribal governments, the individual, the clan, the corporations, the governments. And then we move into Department of Interior, who we could do a whole nother talk on the Department of Interior and their blatant disregard for our systems, our laws. And just to give you some representation, we have been in this process for over 4 years transferring our title. Can you imagine if the non-Indigenous community had to wait 4 years to work on their property? What an uproar that would be. My project is currently sponsored under a nonprofit, which is Native Movement. It's a Native-led 501c3. We did just incorporate our own nonprofit this year through the generous donation of Keinasxíx Chambers Law Firm, who is looking to help us accelerate this process. But just to give you some reference point, you know, the National Park Service monitors the historic preservation programs and models. So you start to see how, and then my project here, Point House Revitalization, you start to see the connections of all the colonial systems that I have to learn to navigate as an individual and as a clan member, as a tribal citizen, as a corporate shareholder. You start to look at these things and your identity becomes very fragmented. And I'm looking to put that back together. Although I'm represented in these spectrums, this doesn't define me. The thing that defines me is my clan. And I really want to get back to that. And I think building a clan house is the way to do that. We have to centralize our spaces and create this framework. Even we can go even further from this and say, you know, universities are teaching language, universities are teaching art or art history or Native degrees, but our true degrees came from our clan houses. And I really heard a lot when I started doing these interviews, there's no more smoke coming out of our chimneys. And I am ready to put the smoke back in the chimneys, however I can. I'm going to transition from that as well and say, you know, some of the people represented in this. Here's a little design ideas that we've had. Recently, I was really put to the test, and I want to say that I stand with my Coho brothers and sisters in this. We experienced a very major loss in our community, and my dear friend Chuck Miller was really a big part of this, helping me navigate what was I going to learn about clan houses, and how was I going to give that to the next generation. We're saying for our grandchildren's wisdom, and what was my legacy to leave behind, and what was the legacy that Chuck had left to me. And I really had to process that and set this project down for a minute because I needed to grieve. And I was thinking to myself, well, gosh, how am I going to do this work without, you know, a functioning clan house next to me that I could model myself after? But returning to Sitka with Chuck and going through the processes of understanding what a role of a clan house does in collective grief only accelerated my need to want to bring this project forward even more. We deserve to collectively grieve in the way that this community did. We deserve these spaces. It is essential to every part and integral to every part of Tlingit life. And thank you. But it brings me back to that. Like, we have got to get back. And we have to deploy 21st century ideas to get us to that space. It's very important. I'm going to use, I see Eric Hollinger, and I'm going to mention a project that my clan leader brought out, which was a digital repatriation of the sculpin hat. Some of you may be familiar with that project. But it was really using 21st century technology to get us where we're going to need to be. I'm looking at collective ownership and how do I navigate that with the Bureau of Indian Affairs? How do I navigate that with tribal governments? How do I define that to corporations and what's their role in helping us? I've had to become a grant writer. I've had to become a public speaker, which is not what I wanted to do. I just wanted to rebuild our house. But we're rebuilding more than bricks and mortar. And I want you guys to remember that. We are rebuilding our culture. And there is a responsibility to leave things better than we found them for the next generation. I feel very strongly about that, even if I don't have grandchildren. So, dialing it back. This represents some of the board of Catlian Collective Incorporated, which was just incorporated this year. Point House Revitalization will fall under Catlian Collective. We're looking at creating solutions for our neighboring clan houses. This isn't just about us. I can't tell your stories for you, but I can offer you support and navigate grants. I can navigate federal loans. We are looking at compacting with an agreement with the Sitka tribe to put these properties on the National Register, which I think is important to get funding into these houses to keep them up, to keep the smoke coming out of the chimneys. We are representing a board of balance. We have Point House people, we have Kagwantan. I kept Chuck in this because he's still a part of my work, and he will continue to further the things that I'm working on. We are using Indigenous architects, which you may be surprised are difficult to find. But we've been really fortunate to work with Northwind Architects, and Shannon here has been with me since day one. We are looking to revisit and change the Secretary of Interior's standards for historic preservation, because I think they can meet us in present day and value the systems that we've had set in place for over 10,000 years. I think I'm going to take a step back and let my friend Shannon take some opportunity to speak. And then we do want to open up for any questions at the end, so I want to be respectful of that time.
Keinasxíx, Jerrick. My name is Shannon Crossley, Keinasxíx. I am adopted Nanyai. I married a Wrangell boy. And to try to bring my dear husband back to his culture, I asked, please, can I be adopted? Can I go to these Keinasxíx? And that experience has been life-changing, and I'm going to try not to cry. Just last week, we were in Wrangell for a Keinasxíx, and I don't know if anybody has been to Wrangell for a Keinasxíx, but they know how to throw a Keinasxíx. And I have to tell you that them having the Nanyai Chief Sheikh's clan house is always such an integral part of that. To be able to stomp the floorboards, to be able to see the house posts, to be able to do the hand poke tattoos that happened this weekend for the first time in hundreds of years, maybe in a traditional clan house. But that is to represent a historic preservation built clan house. It has no windows, it's traditional. And what Jerrick is doing is so impactful because he is trying to bring the most important parts of the culture into the 21st century and give a place. When Jerrick passed by the land, he mentioned that people said that is the Point House. There is no house there, but that is the Point House. And that is so important because in Western historic preservation, they try to preserve the brick and mortar. They try to preserve something in a moment of time, but that is not culture. That is not people. We need to adapt these methods of Western preservation and include being able to rebuild the places that have been lost because they told you that it wasn't important. There's a reason why the house next door has been sold into non-clan hands. And to be able to give a place to rebuild clan house culture, because as we know, one clan house for an entire community does not serve the purpose. They need their own house. And so to be able to be a part of this journey as Jerrick's opposite has been such an amazing experience. And I speak not only for myself, but Armando Dieses Nach, who as an Indigenous designer, I see him every single day. He is in the office, look at historic photos. Look at the differences between clan houses. How can we adapt that vernacular architecture into something new? And so this is the rendition of a new clan house, and I just wanted to tell you what Jerrick has brilliantly come up with Northwind, because it is not just one room, it's many. So the very functions of a clan house, there's so many, right? It's not just to gather, it's to name. It is to eat food, it is to burn, it is to house people. So this clan house isn't just one room with a screen. It is, as you can see up on the screen, and I know it's a little blurry right now, but I just wanted to show you. On the left, we have the first floor plan. That is the main hall, and he has also incorporated a level change. And that was so important, and I know that Nach would do so much better telling you about this, but there's a story of a house where there were so many changes in level that when the high tide came in, the very bottom of the clan house would be awash with water. And so this level change was very important for us to bring back into this 21st century clan house. Behind the house screen, there is a commercial kitchen. There is also an ADA bathroom. There is a ramp, because as we know, our elders need to access these spaces as well. I always say that ADA isn't for people who are disabled. It is also elder design. On the second floor, we have a bunk room in the front. As we know, it's all important for our cousins to be able to sleep in the same room during these functions. And also individual rooms for elders to feel comfortable. There's communal bathrooms. And then the one floor that I didn't put in here is the top floor for the housemaster, for an accessory apartment, as we call it in Western architecture. And so it is important to have someone there, someone there. It isn't an empty building. So I also wanted to talk very briefly on what we're trying to do outside of just the Point House and in the village. As Jerrick explained, we put the Sitka village on the National Trust list of 11 most endangered places. Unfortunately, there isn't any money. I know that he said that it was better, but sometimes we're always looking for the next step, right? And how do we fund this? Traditionally, it would be the opposites that built it. We had a giant fundraiser here a couple years ago. I don't know if you were there. If you were, you know it was a wonderful party. But how do we fund things like this? Is it through the tribe? Is it through the clan? Some people say, well, the clan should fund their own project, but it isn't just about the clan. And it isn't just about one building, right? It's a collective of buildings. It's the street. Catlian, when we have Catlian filled with clan houses again, then our work is done. So Jerrick should be given an honorary historic preservation master's, you guys. The amount of work that he has done and the terminology, he used vernacular architecture in the correct way.
Thank you, James. And Rebecca.
So we have these partners, these potential partners that we're talking to, the City and Borough of Sitka, the National Park Service, the National Trust, Historic Preservation Office, the Tribal Historic Preservation Office, and some of these entities are trying harder than others to work with us, but some are just blanketed in this Western idea of brick and mortar, preserve what is there, but we need to teach them. We need to teach them that the Indigenous way is the correct way.
I think one important thing I want to focus on too, the thing that I left out, which is really important to recognize in this project, this is a micro project with a macro lens. I can only tell the story from the perspective of my clan, but this is meant with sharing the wisdom for our grandchildren, This is meant to pave a way for other clans to have the opportunity to tell the story themselves. And I want people to remember that. This is micro project, macro lens, and it's not specific to Sitka Indian Village. Look around any village where clan houses exist. We want to create this model for them as well.
Keinasxíx, Jerrick, yes, exactly. So we are right now putting forth a nomination or a proposal for a nomination for a multi-property historic preservation nomination to the register. I'm tripping over my words because you guys don't really care what they're called, right? So this national list that says all of these historic places are important. So this nomination would cover all of the existing clan houses, and it's not just to try to preserve them, it's to document them, because as we know, there are a couple of clan houses right now in Sitka that need to be documented now. And for us to be able to document them, it allows us to see these historic preservation traces. And that is, as he mentioned, the point house door, was it supposed to be in the front? Is it on the side for a reason? We want to be able to look at all these historic photos and figure those things out. A vernacular architecture of Tlingit architecture. So this is our nomination. They were really trying to focus on places that I think were Chinatown, Little Tokyo. They were trying to focus on places that weren't necessarily white-centered, and I think that's really great, but we need to go a step further. How did the Japanese deal with their historic preservation sometimes? They didn't say it was the temple that was important. They rebuilt them piece by piece. It is the place. And so we're here to talk about next steps so we can try to inspire you or give you some sort of groundwork. There was no map for him to follow, and we've been trying so hard to help him along this process, but I had to completely deconstruct my own education. I not only learned historic preservation from the Western society, I learned in England, the original colonizers. And honestly, their way of viewing historic preservation is so much more indicative of saving the culture, because in America, you could put something on the register and tear it down tomorrow. But we're trying to rebuild a platform on which everyone can build.
This model is meant to be inclusive. I'm accessible. Our website is accessiblepointhouse.org. Our nonprofit will be looking to seek grants to support these people so they don't have to create a nonprofit, so they don't have to write these grants. Our idea is to be inclusive and move in ways that don't create lateral harm or violence. I recognize that at some point, because we're all on a healing path, that some of the work crossover may unintentionally inflict harm. That it's never my intention, but I've got to heal too. So I'm moving forward in that. So if you ever need any advice on anything that we've done so far or need our support with this, not just in the Sitka Indian Village, but outside, we've written our articles of incorporation and our bylaws to represent that. We had a lot to cover in a little bit of time, and I'm guessing some of you have questions. And so we do want to open this up. I'm here all weekend, and there's opportunities that will present themselves. As I move forward, I plan on bringing more forward, and as this was kind of just getting you up to date to what I've been working on. So, Keinasxíx, thank you, and we'll move into questions. I think we have one. Test, test, test. Does this work? Oh.
Keinasxíx.
You can ask questions to the panel here too.
Keinasxíx. I first wanted to just commend you for the work that you've done, not only for yourself, but for all of us, because each of us that are here, as Tlingit people, we come from somewhere. And so how important it is for us to know where we come from and something that's tangible. And I'm sitting here with my grandfather and with Feline, and we're holding back tears because the place that we heal is their house. And I can say that many people in our community, we've all come to that place to become stronger. So what an amazing thing to be able to see. In the last few days that we've been here, I've met somebody pretty amazing. And I'd like to see if I could invite Jermaine to come up. Jermaine is the director of restoration.
Repair of historic harms.
There you go. That's a big one, right? Say that again.
Director of repairs of historic harms.
Director of repair of historic harms. But here's who he is. He's Jermaine. And he's a wonderful, come stand right here, Jermaine. He's a wonderful man, and we've had the opportunity to go and visit my grandpa's house, and we went with our nieces and nephews, and we shared time and sang songs, and my children came, and we were able to feel what that feels like. We're able to go up to Auntie Bertha's, which is what some people call a bed and breakfast, but for those of us that grew up here, it's always been a place to gather. And many of us have been to those places and felt what it feels like to be in a home and to be able to take your shoes off and lay on the couch and have a conversation with somebody, because it's a place that is welcoming and loving, and that feeling is very, very important to us. And so I've had an opportunity to spend time with Jermaine in both of those places, and we were talking, and as we were talking, we wanted to come forward and spend a few moments of time just to talk to you.
Thank you so much. So you'll hear a little bit more in detail about who I am and what I do in a few minutes, I think. But my name is Jermaine Ross Alam, and I serve as the director for the Center for the Repair of Historic Harms with the Presbyterian Church USA. And I just have to say, Jerrick, I've heard you discuss this project many, many times, but now that I see this in 4 dimensions, if you will, I just want to say congratulations for everything that it has taken for you to be able to be here and to say these things in this space today. And I want you to know, and I want everybody here, even those folks with cameras who are going to make sure my boss hears me say this, I want it to be very clear that the Presbyterian Church is very much aware of its legacy here in this place and is working very hard to learn more about our legacy in this place, the good parts and the damaging parts that continue to require healing. That means that we are not only willing to do work that requires words, but we're interested in material support to help to rebuild, as we are called upon to help do so, those things that our misunderstanding of our theology has damaged, including denigrating the clan house aspect of the culture. I'm not authorized today to say those things that I think you learned requires a General Assembly overture, which is to say, well, I won't say that now, but I will say that $10,000, $15,000 is on the very, very low end of what our financial commitment will become and is at the moment, to see to it that we can do something that is satisfactory to contribute to the rebuilding of what our past theologians and others have contributed to harming. I won't say much more about the money because, as you know, Presbyterians move slow and we love committees, and I'm not going to say those things that require multiple committees and 35 Zoom meetings to accomplish. But please know that I did not fly from my home in Puerto Rico to this place to simply say words. We are very interested in being a material part of the healing process as we are called upon to participate.
Keinasxíx, thank you.
So in light of that, and because we are in the 21st century, I'd also, from Chai Hit, the Yellow Cedar House, my clan house, I'd like to also donate $500 towards your efforts. So I'm going to put my card here because we don't have cash.
Keinasxíx, thank you.
Go ahead, tell them. Tell them I want to ask a question.
Grandpa Herman would like to ask a question.
Yeah, I know what's going on, but I just want to know, You know, the guys had a Klan hat that was on the table yesterday or the first day. What house does that hat come from?
I don't, can you hear me? Is this working? I don't think we know the answer. It was co-purchased with the Alaska State Museum in the 80s from Sotheby's. We just know it's Keinasxíx origin. We don't know the house as far as I understand.
I think they're going to work on it. They're not sure right now.
Oh, okay. It's always a good idea where all those big adoos come from. It's just like our coho hat. It comes from Keinasxíx, which is still standing on Keinasxíx right now. And my grandniece, that's right here, she's staying in it right now. See, it's always good to know things like that, where all the adoo comes from. Thank you.
Thank you.
As a clan leader, I can't sit back and not say anything. It's very moving to hear what you're saying and what you found out and what your efforts are flourishing in the things that you are doing. Each time I come to some of these events, there's a lot of history that I understand and heard about or read about, and they begin to come back to mind. And I remember reading in one of the books I was reading, I believe it was maybe it was Albert Davis or Herman Davis, said that the clan house is more important than the people. And we might wonder and think about that, how that is. But it is bringing the people to attention, but it's the house, how important that house is. And I'm also reminded of our house in Haines, the Raven House. And we heard earlier from some of the speakers of us wanting to be nicer to one another and to care for one another more carefully. And that's always a forefront in our culture, to uplift one another. And the other part is that our father's people, our grandfather's people, in times like this, like Heather being an opposite of being a Chukunchao, did her part as far as stepping forward and supporting you. And that's the way our culture has been and should still continue to be, is that the father's side and the grandfather's side, the Dakanuku, your in-laws, should step forward and assist you in helping you through the hard times, because it's not going to be easy. And while I'm talking to you, in my mind, I'm envisioning our house, the Raven House in Haines. No one's staying in there, but it's still could be a livable house. But there's a lot of things that our clan wants to do with it. And I would say and encourage your clan, those that are with you or that you know is from that house, to support you, and that you ask them or share with them your efforts and give them that opportunity to assist you or to support you in some way and somehow. Because when you're not supported, or when you don't let them know what you're doing and your efforts, then they don't feel a part of that house. And that's something that, there's so many things we don't want to expose or to be too transparent, because being Tlingit, it's because of it's because of respect, and a lot of sometimes that gets us into trouble, being too respectful. So I say that you've inspired me by just bringing your presentation, and it's just amazing to witness what's happening here. And I've looked among, in the city, I observed the people, and began to feel like this is an old community. And in general, it's not a negative term or derogatory term, but it's an historical term. And seeing what Sitka is doing and what is happening, it's a big village. And I'm so appreciative that the people here are the ones who shine through all the tourist things that happen, and through the, I guess, invasion of other people, because it's the house just began to be, in our clan system, began to be destroyed when they took our children to boarding schools. We were not taught the importance of the house. We were not taught the importance of our clan system. There's so many things, and it's not only the boarding schools, it's the government, it's the miners. And the government made sure that the miners made land claims before they opened up that land to us to get some land. We have a land in Juneau, and we call it Mark's Trail. My grandfather made a claim on that land, and there should have been at least 166 acres when he made that claim, but they didn't allow it to him until the miners claimed all around there. And then when they did that, then they gave it to him, and he ended up with only 2.5 acres. So all these things, it just causes, that and it was man, not the church, but it was man's ideas, and it was always about money. Americans are not going to do anything, do a lot of work unless they're going to get money from it. Money is the main thing. And our people knew that. I heard an elder speaking about what they viewed. And he said to the other man he was talking to, just Donna, yes, they always just work for money. From that, they don't have any respect. And so that's the reason why a lot of things that we try to do, if they're not going to gain a monetary system on it, they're not going to pay attention to it. But I applaud you, and I'm so thankful that I was here this morning to hear you.
Thank you. While I have the mic, I just also want to thank you, too, for raising good sons to help me navigate this process, and I mean that.
Akakhian Gina Hajias Stikatu Hans and get Khasati Ewa Hayin Shikawja Hakakas to Hathith Kohas Astika Tuchtitan Joyeti Exwation Danach Tuna teach Deha Kusti Yayan the Kik John Kwa Yakwatu Adi Stikatuhana Dayeji Yanayi Aktuke Naltsinch Adach Yehutan Khaskaini Ayewektu Yeti Yaka Yaigi Yahanakahiri Dad Hahidki Tlaayetian Khwatina ya itina khayati Deha kusti hakadusti nya just yatawe khositin chagu ayi. I've seen how very much in need we are of our houses. You mentioned our friend, our relative, Chuck, and how we conducted our things that we needed to do for him, and how that house was the central part, played a very central part of the rights that we had to do for him. And how very much we are in need of it, and you are working very hard on this for all of us who are Tlingit. Maybe it's not us that is just going to grasp it. Maybe it's going to be the Haidas and the Tsimshians as well, because this is something that we are in need of. We need our clan houses. We need it to be who we are as Tlingit. And when we think about them, we think about our uncles, our grandparents, all those who have gone on before us. Hashuka Deka. They have gone on ahead of us. And how very much we are in need of them. And so that's why I am saying Keinasxíx to our grandchild here, who is working on things for us. Yai datawe kachi ach. Uhan su itwana yeha quti hadachkhank ade wishwatudzikhan hadachkhan kisani atu wesa hakosakhanki yewes ayasagun hatlilko has. They said that the word Dachkhank came from the word my little bundle of love, for those what the name translated, and is shortened over time to Dachkhank. And so this is the way I feel today for our grandchildren that are standing here, all of us, how we are related in so many different ways, that we will be there alongside you, help in whichever way we can. And just wanted to say thank you for all the work that you are doing. And when I think about our culture sometimes, me too, I feel that it's very difficult and it's hard how sometimes it gets lonesome, but when we come here to these things, we are strengthened again to go ahead and go forward and keep moving forward like our grandparents and our uncles instructed us to do. So, Keinasxíx yedayachaka. Thank you, Keinasxíx.
Alex. On behalf of my siblings and we would like to donate $500 towards this project. My siblings are Jay Miller, Edward Miller, and Naomi Miller. And yep, all of us were raised in the Keinasxíx growing up, and my cousin Alex here was too. That's why I asked him to stand up here. So, Keinasxíx.
I also wanted to announce we had $20 Krista Oswa and $25 Lduteen.
On behalf of Kagwantanguche, in the name of our clan house, we will provide $500.
Keinasxíx, for your hard work and your dedication. It's emotional, and that's part of it. That's, based upon our beautiful Tlingit culture and spirituality, so just let the emotions flow. I was really inspired. My name is SOK. My English name is Gail DeBalus. I'm a grandchild of Judson Brown, who was Duckluady from Keinasxíx. They didn't have a clan house, so he took it upon himself to rebuild it from the ground up. I'm so inspired by what you're doing. Here's $100.
Hello. I'm Feline Worrell. My Tlingit name that I just got from my brother Chuck Miller last November is after my mother, SOK. So I am the auntie to Edward Miller and Jay Miller and Michael Miller and Naomi Miller, which are the children of my brother Chuck Miller. I am as Uncle Herman said, I am his grandniece because I am the granddaughter of his sister, Sankata, Sarah James. And to support my niece and my nephews, I want to contribute $100 to help them. And thank you, Jerrick. Thank you very much for everything that you have done. I appreciate you and I love you very much. Thank you.
My name is Frida Westman, Keinasxíx. Dekawuthit Ayahat Shika. In memory of my mother, $100.
Hi, brother. My husband and I just bought Bertha Karis, my grandmother's house, our grandmother's house. And it's because of Jerrick has brought a lot of clan spirit back that was missing for a while. And I know that Grandma would have donated to you. So on behalf of Grandma from Lance and I, we'd like to give you $500 as well.
Keinasxíx jineye tsetenech aya achsayi handedana Keinasxíx.
Please forgive me. I just donated money a little while ago, but I'd forgotten all about Chuck, my grandnephew Chuck. Every time I think about him, I start crying because Chuck became a big part of our code. So on to the memory of Chuck Miller, I'm donating $50.
In our Raven house, I'm reminded of what Austin Hammond's grandparents, grandfather, or his uncle, when you mentioned it in your presentation, he told Austin, be sure to let people know you're home, that they see the smoke coming out of the house. And be there to meet him and invite him to the house to drink some coffee. His house was a community house. He never locked his door. People could come in there and spend the night. He wouldn't ask them who they were or whatever. There's a room upstairs, coffee down here when you need coffee. So the house is very important, very important. That should be explained. We should explain those things to our people. and I'm very sad to, and I will work on it just because of your efforts. I will work on reviving our house back to life. The Raven House, two-door house, Raven's Wing House. Those are the three houses that are standing together. Keinasxíx, Kik, I call you little brother because I'm the same clan, and I'm just a Jinduat supporting each other. Okay.
And that's it.
Kin Kaudani, Jinda Adke, $500. Ye hit.
Keinasxíx aya achsai kadlik ha Keinasxíx Natasha Clevenger. Ka my brother Kakaskuku Peter Stanton $200. We come from the Mud Truck Intestines House of Wrangell, and if it wasn't for the CC project in 1930s, we wouldn't have a house either. Our hearts are with you.
I'm giving this in memory of my sister, Sally Fred, from who's Kagwantan, from Angoon, the Gauhit. And so, thank you.
Keinasxíx. My name is Eric Hollinger. My Tlingit name is Duck Wu. I'm adopted Duck Lawedi. I work for the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History Repatriation Office. Jerrick referenced our work with the Sculpin hat, with digitizing it, replicating it to bring it back to the Keinasxíx. And I was not aware of this project, but I'm very glad to hear that what we did inspired thinking beyond what we were thinking of. Every time we work with the community and we talk about 3D, we learn new things about what people want to take it to next, or what it inspires them to do and think about, and how to apply technology to new ways of doing things, but to integrate them in culturally appropriate ways with cultural protocols. And so I'm really inspired and proud to see what you've done. I walked past the house location, I walked past the Point House yesterday, and I envisioned what it might look like when it's finished. And so I want to donate $100, and I look forward to visiting when it is finished, and many more. Keinasxíx.
Keinasxíx, Jerrick and Shannon, for the work that you've done, and the family that supports you. My name is Patricia Alexander, but my real name is Keinasxíx. I'm a proud Lduteen from Huna, from Keinasxíx, and I'd like to donate $100 on their behalf.
Jeez.
My name is Keinasxíx. I'm Daishitan from the Needlefish House, great-granddaughter of Annie Johnson Jones. I wasn't fortunate enough to know Chuck Miller very long, but I learned so much from him in the time that I knew him, so I would like to donate $50 in his memory.
Jeez.
Tlingit Keinasxíx Qadayatu Nikhatuasak Kudatankla Yikhatuasak Gleka Keinasxíx Darlene Bezizakofsi Yikhatuasak. I'm Khatchadi from the Land Otters. The Land Otters that came from Cape Kwan long ago, because my great-great-grandmother married a Wishkitan Harry McKinley, and her grandfather sent the Whale Steps house in care of her uncles, And so we came to Hunia, originally from Cape Kwan, going all the way back to the Nas. But anyway, we are related to the Tlukakadi and the Tlupnakadi and the Kiksadi when you go back far enough. But I am very moved about what you are doing and all the hard work and the support that you do have. And yes, our beloved Chuck, yes, our dear brother. But Keinasxíx, I know what it's like to be without a house. And for so much history to be buried. But there are more people that know the truth, and it's coming out, and we are getting stronger together. And Juan on your journey, Keinasxíx, and on behalf of the landdaughter Kachari from Junia, $100. Keinasxíx.
This is in honor of my grandfather, Keinasxíx, box house, Kagwantan.
Juan Plain, $100.
Hello, my name is Emily Moore. I was adopted by Ray Wilson into Keinasxíx, and I'm an art historian who studies clan houses, but what I heard today makes me really viscerally understand the importance. So I'm giving $100 toward your efforts. Keinasxíx.
As an adopted member of the Box House, adopted by Charlotte Young Tlaktu and her family, I would like to donate to this wonderful project. I've been visiting Sitka as a scholar since 1979, and I remember seeing more clan houses still standing 45 years ago, and every time I come back, there are fewer and fewer. Just right now, I saw one house completely falling down. It breaks our heart to see that. So I think what Jerrick is doing is a really wonderful project. And as a Tlingit would say, the box house is holding hands with Point House. Keinasxíx, $25.
I would like people to remember, as well as the many good words and history of Point House and the Keinasxíx. And I remember Heather's mother saying, if you stand on the highest mountain and look 360 degrees around, that's Keinasxíx land. But I was thinking while listening and remembering the Point House, today is a good example that the Point House means something, that the Point House is something. Because remembering the time, even up to the point of it being torn down, that it assisted people, that the Point House was there for people, for the human beings. The homeless, houseless, it meant something. But I just wanted to thank the people that mentioned the Point House and how it is connecting to many human beings that even up to it being torn down, it was assisting human beings. Keinasxíx.
Keinasxíx, this is a happy day, and it's like the budding of the blossoms on the berry bushes in honor and memory of your great-grandma. She would be so happy. This is the fruits of her work. And also in memory of my brother Ed Kuntz and his mother Cecilia. And the Digana hit, Keinasxíx. And of course, the Southeast Alaska Indian Cultural Center, Keinasxíx.
Hi, Jerrick. My name's Lucy Williams, and my name is Keinasxíx, was adopted by Ray Wilson. And I've spoken with you on the telephone. I'm from the Penn Museum in Philadelphia, and where I have the responsibility to care for the Lewis Shotridge collection, which I'll be speaking about tomorrow. And I'm so thrilled to hear about your project. And I just want to say that I would love to donate to your project. Chuck Miller was just amazing. We did a film in the Coho House with Herman's support, and Chuck with his children, his little daughter is in the film on his lap, and he was just so generous. His family, they got out all their atbu and talked about the importance of the house, and I just wanted to support your project and the vision that you have for bringing back this history in Sitka and everywhere. And I'd like to donate $100 in the memory of Chuck. And I have a check. I'm not quite sure how to write that out. So I'll put the check here and I'll come back and find you, okay? Thank you. Keinasxíx.
That reminded me something that I didn't mention is going to be in our new 21st century clan house, and that is a place for the A'u to be in displayed and together. It's so important that they are able to talk one amongst each other and tell their stories. So that kind of display and housing of the objects is a part of the plan. So, Keinasxíx.
Oh my goodness, Jerrick. It's such an honor and a privilege to be your friend. And I think we first connected over our connection as both being Tsimshian. But Jerrick has really helped me to remember that Keinasxíx is my outer shell. And today happens to be my late grandmother's birthday, and she was born here. And it's just such an honor and a privilege to watch you do this work and to think about Chuck. And my kids got to go out and harvest herring eggs with him in April. Keinasxíx, Jerrick, for that opportunity.
Keinasxíx, Point House. Really appreciate you guys for what you're doing. You're really pointing the way. My name is Shleik Tana. I'm Shanahit Tekwedi. We're the Valley House in between. Love what you guys are doing. We support you. We're closely related. I look forward to talking a lot more about all this history together. Keinasxíx. Shleik Tana.
Keinasxíx. When I see you, I always remember singing with you in 6th grade. My name is Corleila Force, and my Tlingit name is Tayatai. I was adopted by Fran Houston into the Wáan community, Big Dipper House. I want to thank you for your work and for your words. Even though you're a new public speaker, you're beautiful at it. I can feel the healing in my whole body, and I can feel the healing in this land. Keinasxíx. And I'd like to offer $500 from the Wáan community and also from the Ilocano people from whom I come from the Philippines. And this is in honor of my grandfather, Florendo de Mayas, and my great-grandmother, Aurora de Mayas. Keinasxíx.
I just want to apologize to the next speaker. This was not our intent, but healing doesn't have a time frame. Thank you. I'm going to just turn this over. We have something we need to do to get this done, and then we will move on. I apologize to the other presenters. I didn't intend to go over my time.
And thankfully, the other presenter was our first donator. So that's a wonderful way to strengthen our relationship. Do we want to kill the money? Yeah. Like, whatever you want to do, however.
Yeah, since you were.
Yeah.
Jerrick. We get four. You and these two. Where did Paul go? Where did Paul go?
$50 donation from Chuck's nephew, Alex, his right hand, left foot, and right foot nephew, the one that helps to do all the things, all the feet and all the hands.
It's just, isn't it opposite?
Yeah.
It was calling me at the auction.
Jade, I know. Please forgive us, but this is an important thing that we need to do. Yatawa wutuwasa dana dujak, which is kill the money. This way, the money doesn't belong to an individual, but it'll belong to the house and to be used for the house. You have to.
Okay. I think it's Lduteen. What do I say then?
Lduteen Kade.
Lduteen Kade.
Lduteen Kade.
Lduteen Kade.
Lduteen Kade. Other ones, all the ones you know.
From the house. I don't know how you say I don't know how you should say it.
Yanduske Kade.
Again. Yanduske Kade.
Yanduske Kade.
Yanduske Kade.
Yanduske Kade. You can name the houses of the Keinasxíx. You can name the houses of the Keinasxíx. Kade.
Which one? Just one. Can you do it for me?
Atuachijihit Kade. Kachacha hit Kade. Tana hit Kade. Tse hit Kade. Kagan hit Kade. Nu tu Kade. And you say 0's point house. More than once, 4 times.
Come closer.
Yedikuka Kade. Shkawil Kade. Yai Tauduskein Kade. Skatut Kade. Stunu Kade. Wutu Kade. Kakachku Kade. Anyanach Kade. Kaka Kade.
Susta kade, auktatsin kade, banana stick kade, suchsan kade, ichte ish kade, tsestan kla kade, kakatlin kade, hin kahit kade, steen hit kade, de kawul hit kade, de ikta kade, hin kwa kade, tsanak kade, schawan kade,
What's da? Was that one? What's da?
kavud kade, chakahit kade, chakahit kade, chakahit kade, chakahit kade.
As was said earlier, we apologize for doing this, but this is very important to our people, and it has to be done right in order for things to work right for the house and for all of us.
We'll count it and give the total after lunch, so they can do that. We'll count it right here.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Lduteen. Hagu.
$1,830. That's 1,000. That's Kadushu 100. Ka Natskchin Katana Wushtin Yekawage 4,000. What is that?
You said Nusk.
Oh, Dakun 1,000. As $4,830 was raised total.
They gave 15,000, so this was ours, but Wushtin was 19. We're going to add it. Yeah, we wrote it down. So that's what he wanted to put, like he wanted to say it was 19,000.
Okay, so, and then the Presbyterian Church also said 15,000, so $19,830 total.
So since we're all here, the way that we wanted to make sure, I was talking with our uncle, the way that Tlingit people do accounting is in public. And so that's why we wanted to do this and have this handing over. But what's going to end up happening is he's going to give it back to me. I'm going to put it away. They're going to deposit it into Native Movement into the checking account. We just wanted to make sure everybody saw the money, knew where it was going, and it was very clear with the witnesses. So 2 ravens and 2 eagles here. Chish.
And like the theme for our grandchildren's wisdom, you know, that's why we're doing everything that we do, and so we're trying to make the road as much easier as we can for them. And that's what we see today, Jerrick. You're making things easier for everybody, not just Keinasxíx, but everybody. And we say thank you. Keinasxíx.
Just hold on. It's going to be last.
You're going to end it. You're going to be the last leader to work for the church.
There's always an important thing that our people have always done, and that's in supporting each other. And that's the way we should always be, is to support each other. Yes, there's been a lot of damage done to our people in many different ways. Language, clan system, houses being lost, family members being taken away, hunting and fishing rights. My brothers and my dad fished halibut in Glacier Bay. We used to go there every springtime, pick seagull eggs, and bring 5-gallon cans full of seagull eggs for the winter. Shoot seal, catch halibut. That was what Huna called the refrigerator. Huna's refrigerator. That's where they had all their food came from there. We used to go to Dundas Bay and pick strawberries in Nagoon. I don't know what they're called in English. Nagoon. Sounds Slingit. But that's all I knew it as, and it was Slingit to me. There's a lot of things that have happened, but our people never dwelled on the pain or never dwelled on the wrong. They always thought of things that were happy so they could share with the children, with their grandchildren, that they knew the pain and the hurt if they allowed it to take control of them would damage their children and the grandchildren. So they repressed it inside their spirit. How our people were to take care of each other. And we lifted up our grandchildren above ourselves because we always cherished our grandchildren. And then Keinasxíx could be our grandkids too. This is my son. This is my auntie. This is my older brother. There's another brother over here. Yes, they're different clans, but we're all related to each other. And we support each other, and this is what you saw this morning, in supporting the house. Whether they realized it or not, they were asking for money. That's the way it is. They don't say it directly, but they say these are things that need to be done. These are things and then we hear it, so then we bring it forth, the need, as best we can, to support, to let them know that they're not on their own, that we love each other, we care for each other, and support each other. Keinasxíx, ja, Keinasxíx. Eat Koahun. Oh, Jerrick.
You want to come sit right here for just a moment?
Could I have the man out here that has brought out this money? Ladies and gentlemen, I only wish this hall had more people in it to have seen this man come up with so much money for the Keinasxíx people. I just want to say to myself, and I represent the Coho people, thank you so much for helping out the Keinasxíx. Thank you so much. They gave me the privilege of wearing the hat that the Keinasxíx had during the war with the Russians. And I had the privilege of wearing it down to the museum. Thank you very much from the bottom of all our hearts for what you happened, for what you donated, or for what the Presbyterian Church donated. Thank you so much. As I always say, just when our culture started to sound away, now it's starting to sound back again. It's getting louder and louder. And who knows? Someday we'll be able to speak our language again. And someday, because of men like him and the church, we'll all get our clan houses. Our language was just disappearing, just like I always talk about the language. Just when our language was disappearing, now it's coming back. It's coming back. It's echoing back. It's echoing back. I know this place. This is a conference of all clans. And I wish they were all here, but I like that. I'm just so pleased with what happened just now. Just so pleased for what they did. Thank you from the bottom of the Coho hearts for helping the Keinasxíx. Thank you so much. Yeah, Sundatani, yeah, Sundatani, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm losing our language. I'm 90 years old. So I'm just like Johan, Yisiko, Hayu Katangi. I said, just like a Koko Akna, just Kosleeke. Charges, in his Yuka Katan, Shigana Kaksingit, a Keinasxíx. Because of their big donation, that's going to help our language come back in the Keinasxíx people. Thank you again. Thank you again. Ho ho. Oh boy, that's a big one, boy. When they say ho ho, ho ho, that means it's coming from the heart and soul. Keinasxíx.